All right, hey guys, and welcome. I want to talk to you about The Bear. So, first of all, I'm a huge fan of this kind of really intense and how can I put it? It's like very drama focused, but at the same time, it's not the slow kind of drama. It's intense, fast-paced drama that keeps you in this gripping action and storytelling style. And Jeremy Allen is not really new to this kind of, I guess, style of a story because he's from the cast of Shameless. If you guys have watched that, it had an amazing first two seasons, and I think the rest of the seasons kind of just stretched out and got boring for me. But it did start off really well. So in this story, it's basically about this guy. What do you call this? I guess Carmi. And so Carmi is basically like a rising star chef. He's like one of the greatest rising star chefs in the world, and he was working in the greatest Michelin restaurant in the world. And so he actually returns home to take over a simple family restaurant that was previously owned by his older brother. His older brother only has a short scene in this series, basically played by John Bernthal, who you all may know as the Punisher. So he only has a very short 10-minute scene, I guess, but he just nails that scene really, really so well. He sort of shows up as this really fun, cool big brother that likes to tell stories and drink beer, and he's just cool and macho and that sort of thing. And John Bernthal just does that so perfectly well because he's just such an amazing actor from The Walking Dead, from The Punisher, and yeah, from basically anything he's involved in, he's just a great actor. So even seeing him for 10 minutes, he just absolutely controls the scene. Jeremy Allen is totally different. He's like the kind of character who always likes to keep his head down, but he handles the his character with a lot of micro expressions, with the actions he does, the dialogues he's given, and even the intense scenes where he actually has to go nuts. You can really feel how angry and how out of control he can be as a person, and you can really feel bad and sorry for him because that's just the kind of person he can carry, or rather character that he can carry and show to people. So yeah, he's just really, really, really good at that. So he comes to handle his family, this family restaurant left over his brother. His brother apparently commits suicide, and so he's forced to handle the debt left over with the restaurant, manage this bunch of absolute morons who are working at the restaurant. And it's really cool because he's such a great chef. He has such a great crew previously, but now he has to handle a bunch of noobs at this family restaurant who have no idea what great cooking is like, and they think they're all just these dinosaurs in their comfort zone. And it's very much like when you go to a company to work and you realize all these really senior people, they've been basically doing the same thing for 20 years sometimes. Not all of them do advance out of their jobs or want to change out of the company. They don't want any job advancement. They're very comfortable exactly doing the same thing day to day. They like the routine. They like where they are. They don't want they feel like the salary that they're getting is just enough. And beyond that, there's no reason for them to progress in their careers. That sort of mentality. And that's what we see out of a lot of people here. The only one who really wants to develop himself as a cook is Marcus. And Marcus is sort of this pastry chef who's really excited and interested to do this specific kind of pastry, as he hears stories coming from Carmi, and a new chef, Sydney. And Sydney is like the ultimate sort of enthusiastic, like maverick-ish chef. Not really maverick, but she's like a prodigy who shows up at this restaurant. And the only reason she chose to work at this restaurant is because she really wants to learn from Kami, because she feels Kami is one of the greatest chefs she has ever seen. And she may never get a chance to work with, really great chefs because it's so difficult to get to meet them and get to work with them, just because of the difficulty scale and the challenges you may face trying to work in a Michelin restaurant. But instead, she can easily get the opportunity to work with Kami because basically no one wants to work at this restaurant, this trash restaurant, right? So she decides to apply and she ends up working in part of this restaurant, but she's actually really good and she really stands out in a lot of the work that she does. But she really wants to do her best to work and learn from Kami because Kami is just next level, right? Like no matter how good everyone gets in the story, no matter how they develop themselves, Kami is just a whole other bench. Like he's just somewhere else. He's otherworldly, and that's the reason why he tries to run this restaurant the best he can, but still there are a lot of things for him to learn in the sense where he's a great chef, but he's not the greatest at managing the team, and managing a bunch of morons is not as easy as managing really good chefs, right? It's something like when I hear about stories about people who teach in college, and they say that, oh, it's so difficult to be a college lecturer, even though they get paid so well. Teaching school students is a lot more difficult because school students are nowhere near as intelligent as college students. And similarly, teaching preschoolers is even more difficult because preschoolers don't even know what you're talking about. Half the time they're snorting water out of their nose and eating food out of their ass. You really don't know what's going to happen, right? So this really feels like a story where me and my wife, we watched this together, and we really could feel the intensity, the irritation, the pain that he has to go through to try to teach all these morons to get about their day, because we experience similar things at our work. We are both in some sort of a position where we do have to manage a team, and more than often we do know that there are just people who don't want to learn or improve or change the way they are. And for those who really want to try hard, everyone makes it so difficult because they feel like these people are just a show off. They just want to be in control and stuff like that. But no, it's just that they actually want to get better at what they do. And Sydney is the perfect example of that. So Kami puts Sydney in charge of sort of being the chef that calls out the orders, checks on everyone, while he can handle more of a managerial position. And so things do take a turn in that sense until they form like a much better team and they grow and they develop. And all the characters who initially don't really like Sydney because of her, being in a position where she can control everyone, eventually learn to realize her value. The only one person who turns out to be a very difficult character throughout the story is Richard or Richie, who is actually Carmi's cousin. And Richie works really well with Carmi. He actually respects him and cares for him and wants to handle the restaurant. And no matter what shit they go through, at the end of the day, Richie is always back helping out. But he turns out to be a very difficult character for everyone else to handle, and yeah, that causes problems throughout the show. Regardless, overall, this show is super intense. There's only about 9 episodes, but each episode is about, I think, 20, 30 minutes long. Some episodes are even shorter, but man, this is such an amazing TV series. It's so intense, it's so good, it's so addictive. Every character is really compelling. They have their own unique story. They have a character that you can use to identify a person in your office. You're like, I know this kind of person that just doesn't want to learn anything, doesn't want to improve. Marcus is the kind of person that actually is trying to get better at something, but he's just not there yet, and he needs to listen to orders still. Sydney is just this rising star who wants to really shine and do her best, but everyone hates her because she's just better than everyone else. And Carmi, he just has to hold his shit together. Tina is a dinosaur that's been doing the same thing for 20 years and thinks that she's right because she's been there doing it for 20 years, without realizing that she has to change or improve her technique until eventually she realizes the value Sydney is bringing to the team. Abraham is also just this guy who's completely oblivious to the hierarchy system, to any system basically, that he's just there, just doing his job day in, day out. And eventually he starts, you learn that he has the intelligence to process what's going on, and that gets kind of interesting. We also have this guy who, Neil, yeah, he always comes in to help repair things, and he's just kind of a funny character. The jokes in this really land. Everything about the way they make the jokes in the serious undertone that they have going on, which is this intense drama. The jokes really come in at the right moment, the right places, and yeah, it drives you insane when you see certain things, and the way they show certain scenes, and the way they build the restaurant and the team. But I think it's really got to do a lot with the cinematography and the camera work. The camera work in this is outstanding. There's a few sequences in this show which is like a one shot, or nearly a one shot, you can say, where the camera is just following character after character through this restaurant and moving about, showing you how chaotic it can be. And man, it's just amazing, the work that's done in this show. The close-ups, the precision, the dialogues, the time when they need to take certain shots, they know when to transition so perfectly well. And a lot of these scenes are really beautiful, giving you the atmosphere of, get that warm feeling that you're close up with these characters and personal with these characters, trying to understand each of their individual stories, at the same time trying to get a feel of being a part of the restaurant. And no matter how messy it is, how grimy it is, they bring you close up to show you exactly the mucks and stains and the nooks and crannies to let you feel like you're really part of the floor, and you're really there, and you're a part of this mess, and you got to enjoy it and you got to feel it, regardless of whether you like it or not, because that's how this show wants to pull you. It really drives you into these characters. And I think this style of cinematography, first of all, is one of the greatest I've ever seen. It's really beautiful. It's an amazing piece of work. So Christopher Storer, I mean, whatever you have done with this, right, is genius. That's all I gotta say. And I think I could binge watch like a million episodes of something like this just because of how amazingly it's taken. And I totally understand that every episode is about 30 minutes long, just because of how insanely intense it is, how action packed it is, and how many things happen within those 30 minutes. It doesn't feel like 30 minutes, it feels like an hour at times because you're getting so much content that each episode can feel like its own little movie. And it's done so super well. I'm going to rate The Bear an 8 out of 10 because I think that this show is really one of the greatest drama that I've seen in a long time. I really want to give it a 7 just because I felt that certain characters' stories were not as fulfilling as others. That's the only reason I would probably rate it a 7 because some characters are just given better limelight, better viewpoint, and I feel like in a way, um, Tina, who was really this irritating, annoying character, really hated Sydney, turned to like Sydney a little too fast. I felt they could have given her 2 episodes of showing how she ended up on Sydney's side instead of one. And Abraham really doesn't have much going on for him. And Marcus, I feel his story is dragged on for a little too many episodes. We get it. He's working on something. He's progressing as the episodes go on. You can see them showing his progress, but sometimes they completely erased all these side casts just to focus on maybe Carmi or Richie's story or something like that. So I feel the balance is not really there. When you are building a team of 6, you want to be able to show us all 6 of them have some value, ups and downs. But I feel they're not given equal importance at certain times. That's my main critic. As for the cinematography, the music, the intensity, the dialogues, brilliant. There's really nothing I can take away from those. Also, I can't give too many points for ideas just because this show didn't show me something that's like, whoa, I've never seen that before. Nothing really like that. But the one thing that it does bring me, like remind me of is the intensity of Shameless, and some of these really cool dramas that want to give you these close-ups, these one shots to bring you into the story, drag you into the story. It does it really well, but I feel that it's not really something that's very new, and so I can't give it those style points or uniqueness or ingenuity. It doesn't have that. But what it is a really brilliant TV series that I think is really really good. And for 2022, this might be probably one of the best so far. Um, I have to see if there is any that's able to compete with this, but I think this is definitely one of the best so far. So yeah, I guess it would be an 8, but I'm gonna have to take 1 point away just because I felt that not every character had a very balanced story to tell. And also, some of these parts are just done to be irritating on purpose, I feel. Like where Richie found the letter, that apparently um, Michael had left behind, and that letter would have essentially solved everything. But perhaps they could have hidden the letter in a better place because the letter was pretty much in the open. And Carmi, who checks pretty much every nook and corner of the restaurant to make sure things are okay, it's really surprising that Carmi never saw the letter that was just pretty much in the open under a locker. So, certain things just didn't feel like, it felt like they could have just done that a little better. Perhaps the letter was in some slot machine, or they had like these gaming this game consoles, like arcade game consoles, right? Perhaps they could have hidden it somewhere. Maybe it's a first prize thing that pops out. It was hidden in such a place that they couldn't find it, or it gets caught somewhere that no one knows how it's there until eventually someone figures it out. But this was pretty much like it was always there. It's just that Richie didn't want to hand over to Carmi, sort of thing. And I felt that was just too drama. Like, come on, it's like obviously you gotta give it to him, right? If it really says it's from his brother and this guy cares, he would want to give it to him. So, and that pretty much solves their problem because at the end of the series, Carmi actually finds out his brother leaves him a note to ask him to open up the cans of tomato soup. And when he does open up the cans of tomato soup, it turns out that he's actually been smuggling the cash into the cans of tomato soup to hand it over to Carmi after he dies. I don't know why he does it that way. Maybe because he was afraid that the money wouldn't go to the right hands or wouldn't be safe in the right place. I'm not sure why he just didn't put it in a bank or something, but for some reason he smuggled it through the cans. And that's sort of like a little bit of gray area for me. I'm not sure why. Probably got to check it out on Reddit or something. Let me just check for a sec whether I can find something on this. So this is like the only thing that I could really find. There's a few different answers, but this is, I guess, the one that's quite common. So this was reported by Twinfinite, just to give credits to them. So it says that's right. The money was in the spaghetti cans. Is the 300,000 loan that Michael took from Uncle Jimmy, aka Cicero. According to Storer, Michael was most likely instructed not to put the money in the bank for myriad tax reasons, so he decided to hide them in cans instead. So sorry, myriad, right? Myriad tax reasons. So he decided to hide them in cans instead. So that kind of makes sense. Um, so the reason is 5,000 short is because Kami threw away one of the cans in the pilot episode. Right, that's true. Kami, wait, is it? Is that true? Okay, I wouldn't know, but yeah, maybe. So yeah, anyway, we're looking forward to season two. I guess that's the way to go. But for tax reasons, he kept 300,000. He wanted to start something new, but he has committed suicide, and we don't really know the real reason yet. So perhaps season two will give us more answers, and maybe it will climb to an 8 out of 10, maybe even a 9 out of 10. Heck, I wouldn't know because these guys are absolutely insane. Whatever they're doing is beautiful. So keep at it. The Bear, fantastic. A must watch. Really intense, really cool. May not be a thing for everyone, um, but hey, I loved it. Hope you guys did. Take care, guys.